Hey everyone, Music Without Tears. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a basic approach for arranging electronic music in Ableton Live. It builds on our first video in the series, although you don't need to watch that one in order to understand this one. What you will need to have is about 6 to 8 different MIDI or audio clips in your session view or in your arrangement view. The important part is just to have sounds that you can arrange. In my case, these particular sounds that you see here were all made during the making of that first video. And here is what they sound like. So the actual approach I'm going to show for arranging is one I borrowed from Brian Eno. He gave an interview a couple of years ago where he talks about the standard approach for arranging electronic music, which he defines as one where you collect a bunch of different sounds and then you arrange them along the timeline visually, creating moments of greater or lesser density by controlling the number of sounds that are layered one on top of the other. In Ableton, this process is actually really simple. I can take all of these clips and I can just shift them over to the arrangement view. And now I can cut them like this and now extend all of them up until the point where I might want to end the song. So let's keep it pretty short, say about there. And so what Eno was talking about was you can, start creating these moments of space. Maybe we have one sound, then we have two sounds, then three. And then once all the sounds are playing together, we have this very dense part of the song, which is the climax or the peak of the song. So we build up into that, and then you can fade out from that, and then maybe have another moment of tension, of density again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an arrangement following this process, and then once I'm done, I'll circle back and go over what I did. All right, so I just finished laying out a basic arrangement. I start with this ambient sound, and then I bring in some high-end kind of clicks. And then slowly I introduce more rhythmic components. And eventually there's a moment where it kind of bottoms out. And then finally, the original rhythm section comes back. Now we have this little arrangement. We have these blocks of sound that come in and out at different points to create a structure. The problem is the transition points are kind of stark. The sounds are either there or they're not. And when they come in, they always come in at full power. What we can do to solve this is start blurring the transition points. The most obvious way of doing this is using fade-ins and fade-outs to create smoother transitions. But you can also do this by automating other parameters, so panning, or you can also automate any controls on any of the effects that are on those tracks. All of these will add subtlety to the transitions, which will go a long way to making the track feel finished. Similarly to before, I'm going to develop this a bit more, and then I'm going to touch base and show you what I did. In the intervening time, I've developed the arrangement. I've produced the track a bit more, added some fade-ins, fade-outs, added effects, and automated some of the parameters of those effects. So something I like to do a lot is I'll add either a low pass or a band pass filter, and then I'll just automate that throughout the entire song just to give a sound movement. And that does a lot to make the arrangement feel like it's evolving over time as opposed to just a single loop that keeps repeating over and over and over again without any changes. So I did a lot of that. I used a part of this clip in order to fade into the rhythm when it comes back. And then I even set up a kick drum sound by taking this clip here that I've deactivated. I put that in a simpler. I cropped it so that it only had a small chunk of the sound that was most like a kick drum. And then I created this whole compound chain of effects to create not only the kick, but also even like a counter rhythm. So as I play the song, you'll be able to hear that. Without further ado, I'm just going to play through the arrangement, and then I'll kind of give my final conclusion on the whole process. As you can see, we were able to go from those 6 clips that we started with and turn it into something resembling a finished track. Obviously, it's not done. If I was going to release this, I'd take a week or so to keep working on it, then I'd mix it and send it off to get mastered. But as it is now, it gets the point across. Ultimately, I look at building tracks in Ableton as a 2-step process. The first step is writing. It's creating sounds. It's all about generating the raw material. And then the second step is arranging. taking that material and organizing it in such a way where you create the structure that will define the song that you're making. Taken together, both steps comprise a complete approach for creating electronic music. I showed the first step in the first video in the series, and I've just shown the second step today. Obviously, this isn't the only way of making electronic music, but it's how I do it. Regardless, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.